it's doing anything.
Oh.
It's just because it's the music.
All right, we're almost ready to go. Pop us over just so we can say hi to the chat room and stuff. Get in here because we're just set up.
I almost want to invest in something like this, but I
10 seconds.
How I would incorporate it into my system.
These things?
Yeah.
Oh, it's super great. Like you just plug this thing in as your mic input to a USB-C. That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
All out of bubble.
Hal Sparks.
All right,
let's do this.
Oh, it's a crazy day. It's super great. I'm so excited. I can barely stand it. It's very difficult to even do a show when I'm in Chicago because I'm so happy to be here. I can't tell you how much, I feel like the air makes me feel better. I feel like life is good and fun and joyful, and the weather has been lovely, even in its murkiness today and its mild drizzle effect.
It's very drizzly.
It's very drizzly, but it's charming drizzly, dagnabbit, if I do say so my damn self. And Johnny Million is here with me. We are broadcasting from our dear friend Rob Glenn's space.
What a nice guy.
At Root Design, where he was nice enough to begin the process of demoing what will eventually become my 3D printed dream house. That's all I'm going to show.
And Hal's extreme weight loss plan begins shortly.
That's right, because I'm. It's a scale thing. We try to print it as quickly as possible, so that's but we're going to make a version of it where I can print it in sections and put it together because I have a 3D printer at home.
Right.
And so I can make probably 10-inch segments of it, versions of it, and then stack them all together.
It'd be cool if you just made cinder blocks.
No.
You can print cinder blocks.
No, I'm not Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters. Yeah, just throwing all the plants through the window. Just close your eyes and hold your breath, and everything will feel fine. Right. We are obviously the DNC is here this week, which is very exciting, and there's a decent amount of trepidation that people are experiencing about is it going to be safe? Are there going to be crazy people running around? That kind of stuff. And I have to say to those that would be troublemakers at the Democratic National Convention, couple of things.
Don't.
Yeah, right. In the immortal words of Joe Biden, don't.
Stop.
But also, on top of that, you do realize this is not the party of 1968. You do realize this is the party after the Civil Rights Act has been passed and all the Dixiecrats have been purged and became Republicans. And you do realize you didn't show up at the RNC. You didn't show up when Netanyahu was at Mar-a-Lago. You might have defaced the Liberty Bell, but you didn't do anything to the gate of Mar-a-Lago. Interesting.
They defaced the Liberty Bell?
Yes, they did. Well, it's the copy of it.
There's never been a real Liberty Bell,
huh?
I don't think. I think the Liberty Bell is fake, like Helen Keller.
You think Helen Keller is fake? What is it?
Haven't you heard about that?
No.
Gen Z, there's a whole conspiracy theory
that she never existed?
She never existed, yeah.
Oh, it's so sad.
That and the Liberty Bell.
The Liberty Bell was never real? Good Lord.
No, that's me. That's pure Johnny.
Oh, that's pure Johnny. Okay, well.
But no, I've heard that it's always been like a facsimile. Like wherever the original one is.
Oh, sure. I would never put anything out in the public.
Yeah.
We're terrible. I mean, it was like that giant teetering rock that those idiots pushed over. Now, time would have knocked it over anyways.
Right.
But nothing says, Republicans who want to ride ATVs in national parks like idiots who spray paint a rock that's been standing since the Mesozoic era, and they just push it over and go, dude, bro, we did it, right? Very Elon Musk.
bro.
The Elon Musk of geography. But
Everyone's
this
just
is
going to see the right side of I'm committing.
well. Hello there, Johnny.
Thank God this is my good side.
It is. It is. It's an excellent side. I don't think you have a bad side, young man.
Aw.
But it's true. That said, this is not my good side. I'm just
not?
sacrificing for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got nothing but good sides, my man.
Yeah, it's all right.
You're a leading man.
Huh?
You're a leading man.
It is true. I'm a leader among men. But yeah. And,
not it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because people tap out, not because.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need someone to blame. Who can we?
Exactly.
Who can we blame? Sparks, come here. You're full of beans. Step forward and lead everyone, so that when everything goes to crap,
Things go wrong. We know. who to point to.
like the first thing I do is, okay, we're gonna carry the food. We're leaving the giant wood desk behind. What are you guys screaming at me for? For those that don't know, that's I think there were Canadians who were lost in the wilderness, kind of like their own Donner Party, and they left. They had a like.
Oh, like Frontier Days?
Yeah, they had
Canadians?
mercury poisoning or a lack of oxygen or a series of things.
And they
but
just vanished?
They'd lost their mind, so they kept bringing this giant wooden desk with them because they needed it to write legislation
That
on.
is fantastic.
And that was the logic.
So Canadian.
Oh, it's so
Why
Canadian.
is that so Canadian?
Because look.
It's like practical and completely impractical.
Right, we have to have some sort of order, eh? So,
What is the chat thinking about
the
anyway?
chat is losing their minds at our
Patty
random-
Duke wasn't real.
What?
Patty Duke wasn't real.
Patty Duke wasn't real, yeah. The Manson family was an MK Ultra experiment. They were all paper cutouts.
Helen Keller is not buried alone. What is happening?
You've started something. You know what? I used to think, how could something like QAnon get off the ground? I never knew it was this easy. If we could monetize this,
Yeah.
you and I.
Speaking of monetizing, the super chats are insane.
Oh, well, thank you. Look, you can, Johnny Million, if you look over here, they make a list. Tamal622, thank you so much for the 666/6 super chat. Hal Vickery, thank you so
I
much.
might get to
See
meet
you tonight at
Hal.
the Vic. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
Joy.
Joy Noel.
Joy Noel.
Noel gave a super sticker, and then Jenny Faye. Oh, and Jenny Faye, I saw her last night at the Nerd Halen show. It was so nice.
Is she a Muppet?
No, she's an actual person. But that's all right. I'm going to leave that there. So, couple of things before we get to our first break, and we try to salvage what's left of the show and try to have some normalcy. A little bit of news. Philip Itner is fine, but he was
fine.
struck by a car.
As a pedestrian.
As a
presumably.
pedestrian, details to come, but he is all right. He will be here for the second hour, but albeit a little sore. Now, if he shows up bandaged like Al Franken in an SNL sketch, I'm going to think he's just messing with me and playing on our sympathies comedically. But
Can I tell you that a friend of mine, I don't know if did you ever meet my neighbor Bob when I lived in Northfield? He was the guy who loaned me the guitars. Like, he taught me how to play guitar.
No.
He's a big fan of yours, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He came over. I hadn't seen him in 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally, reconnected through your show.
That's what I do.
He came over to my house.
Mm-hmm.
And, I hadn't seen him in forever, and he's getting older. He showed up with an effing walker to my porch.
Yeah.
And he was like, just shaking along. And then I opened up the door, and he was like, hi! And he threw the walker away.
Oh.
He was just, I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this poor guy.
Right. Well, you'll never fail to bamboozle Johnny Million if you play on his sympathies as a human being,
Yeah.
because you're nice like that.
I am. Except, what did I say as soon as I heard that Phil was hit by a car? That
Was
it was a Matchbox.
Was it a Matchbox car? And wait till you see the X-rays. I'm gonna make you say that to him.
Oh, you're going to make me say that to him.
Right. And then of course he's gonna say something along the lines of, "I hate working with children." Right. Which is, by the way, the only other person I've ever heard use that line was David Carradine.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
In person?
No, it was secondhand through an actor who was on Queer as Folk, who will be relatively unnamed, who played Michael's boyfriend in the first season, was on Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
Oh.
And it's a long story, but he forgot his lines when he was in a hurry and he was trying to make David rush, and David was a drunk and nailed it. Like, even though he was like drinking gin all day, never forgot a line, always hit it. And then the first time they're doing this take, and they're like, I need to get to the airport, so we got to nail this right away. And Carradine's like, whatever. And they're walking down the street, and Chris goes up. He loses his line. He's like, I forgot my line or whatever. And Carradine goes, I hate working with children. It's such a jerk.
So
anyways,
that is the second thing that David Carradine and Phil have in common.
Oh no, stop it. And scene. So now, I don't know that he's ever been to Thailand, but I wouldn't recommend the trip. So that said, I know what you're talking about. I got it. I'm on to you. Thank you, Eric, for the super chat as well. We will get to an actual show. M. West, thank you as well.
Not if I can help it.
Johnny. Gosh, darn it.
He was so happy to see me like half an hour ago.
You fadang doodle. So lots. Obviously, I think the main thing on everyone's mind is could it possibly? Oh my gosh, gifting the memberships. Thank you, Eric. Could it possibly be that things are actually going well into this election? I will tell you that
I'm so like nervous with my optimism.
Yes,
It's not cautious optimism. It's like panicky optimism.
Yeah, it's like It's kind of like when you actually watched Fonzie jump the shark, and you're like,
for him.
will he make it?
Yeah.
Right. So, or an actual Evel Knievel thing. Like, this could go wrong. But a couple of things. One of the biggest changes where we know the numbers are real, not just polling, not just ground game, but a combination of the two that is significant, is the fact that Donald Trump has stopped saying the only way we could lose this election is if they rig it.
Oh, he has stopped
that
saying
phrase has completely disappeared.
Yeah, because he was all about that.
That was the primary argument for a very long time, that I'm winning, I'm so far ahead in the polling, which, by the way, it was always going to tighten. Biden was going to win. End of story. It was always going to tighten by these margins. So even the fact that Kamala is doing great, what she's really like busting the doors open on is enthusiasm, which is what it takes to get people off their butts and ready to go vote. But I got to tell you, Rovember is real and has been real and is going to stay real. It didn't matter. The Democrats could run a can of Spam, and as long as it had a note attached to it, codify Roe v. Wade into law, it would become president of the United States. Because there's a huge trust factor. Democrats are all about competency and actually doing stuff. And on the other side, Republicans are... I have a theory at this point. We'll talk about it on the other side of the break. Because Trump's remarks about the Medal of Honor...
That's not going over.
Yeah, it's... I got another theory. We'll be back right after this.
Okay.
It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, live from Chicago. Get out of my scene, you crazy person. That Johnny Million, he could play guitar.
I'm not bad.
You're awesome.
I played pretty well last night.
Did you?
And I practiced. I found the video of you doing Florida Man on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
And I played over it. And I was like, what is on his face?
You guys are awesome with no latency.
It's so much better, isn't
it? The chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk over each other.
I am not against flying to Chicago every weekend. I'm not against it. And I'm certainly ready to do it with more frequency. That's it. So put a pin in that.
Does he host? Do you host your own show?
I don't have a show, no.
But aren't you a guest on his show?
Yeah,
sometimes?
Friday
Guest on
AI.
our
Yeah.
show.
Friday
People
AI.
ask me all the time to do one, and it's one of those things. I actually have an idea for a podcast, which I won't say because everybody can hear me.
Yeah.
It's way easier to be a guest, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
So much easier.
I've been queuing up so that Johnny Million, on at least one occasion, I could go, hey, I've got a show and I'm traveling. take it away.
It did happen once.
Yes.
All right.
The worst possible day. Did you know about this?
I think I've heard that one. I heard that show.
Yeah.
It's legendary in
It is
radio.
legend.
It is.
That was probably the best part about running into people after the last show that you did, was all the people that came up and said that I actually kept them from jumping off buildings that
Yes.
day.
That's
See?
awesome.
And that's the goal. That's, you know.
And it was by giving Trump way too much credit was how I did it.
Yeah.
I was like, he said all these things to get elected. Maybe,
60
maybe
seconds,
he'll be
guys.
Like this. And he was like that. And
Yeah,
worse.
thank you. We'll be back in 60 seconds. And hi, chat room, and thank you guys so much. By the way, share the show, hit the like, all this stuff I forgot to say because we were so excited and just talking
Sage
amongst
the
each other.
Scales Tarot says 3D print a HAL jet.
The hell what?
A HAL jet, so you can fly in.
Oh, that's a great idea. Although I will say there are 3D printed Czech Light Sports, which is the plane I'm training on.
Oh, I forgot that you're getting your license.
And I was very excited about them until that submarine went down, which was 3D printed. And now, granted, air pressure and water pressure, very different.
Very different. And like, if that goes wrong, like you can't glide that submarine back up
Let me tell
to
you
the
something.
surface.
The funny thing is, the heavier the plane, the safer I feel.
Sure.
Because air goes, and
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio
Yes,
program,
no,
no,
Mega Worldwide.
all right, we're back.
Betsy.
There's so much excitement leading into the DNC this week. Now, one of the big pushbacks, John Emilian, because you're sitting right here.
Right here.
Hi, get out of my scene. I made a special live streaming scenes and designed it this way. Hello. I can actually, he's there. I can actually, sorry, we went Benny Hill for just
We
one
did for a
second.
second.
Yeah, it was. So the Trump campaign has really been reeling over the last couple weeks, and I
keep thinking they're going to right themselves a little bit and come up with some like gut punch, and their attacks are worse.
Yeah, it's so yesterday, and I did a little bit of it on the live stream because I didn't have time to do the whole thing because no one does right now. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
When you're standing out in front of Bedminster so that people think you're in the White House because the stock market is so good, and you're trying to trick your QAnon followers into thinking it's like, see, he still is president, and you're standing in front of a box of Fruit Loops, complaining about airports you don't set foot in and consumer prices you don't pay.
And he has no idea what they are.
No idea.
Yeah.
There is nothing at all about this, like the normal world that Donald Trump has any interaction with.
Yeah.
Even so yesterday he's trying to bury what he said. Every new his economic
He's
message.
trying to fix what he did the
Yes,
time
it's
before.
all about like maybe if I say 9 crazy things in this outing, it'll bury the crazy thing
That
I
I
said
said,
before.
yeah.
It's worked before, and they go for it every time.
And he's got Fox people like just walking him through, down the garden path.
Yeah.
To we need you to say this, and he refuses
He
over
can't
and over again. He can't
do it right. So one of the funniest things is his economic message. He's done it twice now. He's tried to do. The big concern was Scott Baio got very upset, and he was on.
Wah wah wah.
Yeah.
That was his catchphrase.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. Right. And he was on Jesse Waters, I guess, and I don't know if it was because he was name checked and something else. It's very weird.
But he was on Fox. I
Yeah,
think
he was
I
on
saw it,
Fox.
Yeah.
And he said, Trump is great when he talks about the issues. Okay, first of all, no, he isn't. He doesn't talk about the issues. He complains about the things you think are a complaint. And that's when people go, like, he talks just like us. No, he doesn't. You know how I know he doesn't talk just like you? Because what you said was a complete sentence.
Right.
He talks just like us, poorly constructed, but there's a subject, there's an object, and there's a verb, and the sentence ends. He doesn't talk like you. He blathers out that whole concept and side checks every possible angle so he can never be wrong.
0 punctuation.
That's right. It's like Christopher Walken
Yep.
with this brand new script. Just take out all the punctuation and put in pauses.
Has he read an audiobook yet?
Trump?
No, Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken would be the longest book ever.
I would love it. I think.
Chapter 5.
See, I just want to hear. Maybe it would help me work on my impression.
I don't feel good about chapter 4. Let's go back and do it again. So
Everybody does it, Christopher Walken. I can't do it.
it's all right. It's you got to start with one line and you work from there. I recommend watching his monologue in Annie Hall.
Oh wow, I forgot he was in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like so is Jeff Goldblum.
Wow,
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum has one line.
that's amazing. It's sort of like watching One Flew Over the
Cuckoo's Nest.
Nest.
And you
It's
forget who's
like
in it.
Christopher Lloyd's in it.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito's in it. Mm-hmm. Nuts. It's like
Almost the entire cast of Taxi. Right. If Tony Danza is just found shuffling by as an extra in the background of that movie, it'll be one of the greatest moments.
Did I
You kick
kick
your
that?
camera.
Oh god.
Pay
well,
attention.
you know
We're
that
getting.
Jeff Conway's there in spirit.
That's right. He's psychically moving his camera now. So, by the way, infotainmentwars.com. We'll get to a show eventually. We're just so glad to see each other. It's just life. Okay, so so Trump does his economic message, and so Scott Baio is on there going.
Right.
He's great when he talks about issues, and he needs to stay on topic because he's meandering. When Scott Baio not only says it, but is on Fox News and feels free to say it.
That's a criticism.
And it's an awful criticism. It's terrible to bring up that he is meandering, that he is wandering and rambling, and the fact that Scott Baio feels free to say that on Fox News now. That's how bad it is. That's so bad.
And Fox brought him on to say that.
That's right. That they didn't cut him off and go, well, which is what they used to do.
Did you see that most recent one with Trump where they cut him off when he started talking about? He just went off, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna just."
Oh well, they had to take the Chiron down about the economy because he was
it
saying
like all the green.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was everything was doing so well. It's like when Maria Bartiromo reads the jobs report, and she, they got the numbers up and everything's green and going up, and she's like, "This has got to be. How can we make this terrible?" So, Baio comes on and says that, and they have not taken, and this is how crazy this is, they have not taken criticism from a bunch of other people seriously about this. And maybe it was just the timing of it. Maybe behind the scenes he's hearing this from a bunch of people too.
Yeah.
But when Scott Baio said it, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we've got
That rang the alarm bells?
something. Yeah. So they literally planned this economic speech like 2 days later.
Oh God! Because of that?
Yeah, I think that was the cue point. That was the last straw. And I think it makes sense. Like I said, as silly as it is, the fact that someone as silly as Scott Baio, and as someone who's professionally silly, normally I mean that as a compliment, not in his case. And if he feels the freedom to say that in front of like everybody, they're like, okay, this is really bad.
Yeah.
We got to do something.
And I heard the beginning of the Trump speech was like, economics.
They say it's important. I don't think so.
It's a very important, very important word. Very.
Let me tell you something. But like the biggest shocking part of him saying that was that, dude, you literally floated into office on the illusion that you're a businessman,
right.
that you can fix the economy, that you know tariffs and trade and money better than anybody, and the country needs to be run as a business. You ran on your myth, and it is a myth, the myth of Donald Trump, the billionaire businessman. That's how you got in. And now, after you lost last time, you're rerunning this time, and you're like, I don't know if people do. And let me tell you something. He genuinely believes that, because what he thinks, and he might not be wrong amongst his base voters, is that racist attacks on immigrants and Kamala Harris are his key to enraging and fear-mongering his base.
It will probably keep the people who have already bought in interested. I don't know how many new people he'll get from that.
Well, here's the other problem. He thinks his supporters, and he's not necessarily wrong because he sees them all the time at his rallies, are too stupid to understand economics.
Yeah.
They can understand brown people are scary.
Right.
That he could go, all right, my people, my audience, if I say brown people scary, triggers them right away. But if I try to explain tariffs and trade and tax policy and that stuff, it just goes right over their head because they're stupid. I love the uneducated. I mean, this is a guy who knows his brand and sticks to it. He's never tried to expand past it. Maybe because he's incapable, but also maybe because he doesn't want to lose the sucker base that's basically paying for everything.
Sucker base, yeah.
And the irony that this man, his biggest financial audience is luxury hotels and golf. Golf courses are meant to lose money. Let me tell you something.
Really?
Golf courses are designed
To be a write-off?
to be a write-off, to lose money, and to help you make other deals. So everybody who owns golf courses also owns other stuff. And they meet with the rich people that they make those deals with on those golf courses.
Yeah.
And they lure them in and kind of glad hand. It's like it's a PR endeavor for rich people. Okay. That's what owning a golf course is. And Trump at one point got all this free money through Deutsche Bank from Russia to just buy up these golf courses and connect himself with all these people because that's what Russia wanted him to do. Connect with all these rich people, make them create this illusion that you're this big flamboyant rich guy, and then we'll help you get, if not into the Oval Office, at least be a spoiler that chips away at the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And it was the best money they ever spent.
Incremental change.
Right. So when we come back, we didn't even get to, because this is what happens when we're together, Trump's remarks about the Medal of Honor would wipe out anyone else. And it may actually do it to Trump this time.
Because people were comparing it to the McCain comments, saying, "I can't believe that wasn't a disqualifier."
Right. Now it's just stack.
Yeah.
Now it's a pattern. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We're live from Chicago, and it's like drizzly and pretty outside. It's so nice.
The Cubs are playing, so it's traffic. The Cubs are playing, so it's very trafficy.
Right, because we're
close
to Wrigley Field.
Kind of run off and piddle again? Are we out?
Yes, we are off. You can go piddle.
I'm going to bring my... No, I'm not.
I feel like Jack... Yeah, you should probably take that off.
I feel like
Naked Gun.
Leslie goes... That might be my favorite scene.
I do not have a way of muting just one mic on this system. That would be a flaw in the design. I'm sorry, chat room. That would be a terrible thing to inflict upon you. Anyways, boy, the rain really is coming down. Put this over here. There you go. And hi, chat room. Hello. Let me go in here. Tony, thank you so much. Happy Saturday, dudes and dudettes. Al and Johnny, thank you very much. Did that go in there? Here we go. There we go. There's Rob Brunswick. Hi. Love you, Hal, Johnny.
60 seconds.
Okay, cool. I will be, might actually be able to get through a single cogent thought. Maybe. Perhaps. We don't know. Close that. I don't want to leave Chicago. We're good. Should have swapped out. Let's see, I'll close that because they're watching the other thing. It's so nice to have other people watching the show, like here in the studio, so that I don't have to monitor everything. What's that like? Good Lord. Can you imagine the show I could do if I had thank you, even a reasonably small team to do it? That's why I get so mad at the Blase. The Blaze.
Oh.
You're locked into the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
What's the brand?
So, for those of you that, you sound great.
What's the brand?
Oh, we'll talk about it after the show.
I want to know now.
It's this thing right here. So, couple of things.
Holy Land.
the remarks about the Medal of Honor thing. So it's a twofold thing. You know how what aggravates me sometimes is that with Donald Trump, there's never sort of one offensive remark. Okay, I'll bring Johnny back in because he's sitting here now. There's never just one awful thing.
It's not like a gaffe.
Yeah. Even his like the Access Hollywood thing. There's also the
It
gross
kept escalating.
Yeah, and because even in that, a lot of people talk about the grab 'em by the P word moment and stuff, which is absolutely the high watermark of awful in that. But the fact that he's looking around for Tic Tacs, which are a fixation of his.
Tic Tacs?
Yeah. You ever seen the Tic Tac fixation? He's been holding up full-size Tic Tacs, and then now available there is Tic Tac minis, these little smaller ones that are this big, and he thinks inflation is the reason, not that Tic Tacs have put out a smaller version of the box.
You know what? Those would immediately get behind my soft palate and into my nose. I can just call it right now. I'm not going to try them.
No, it's dangerous,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like
But
biggies.
I will say, we used to use them in high school. If you'll recall, fake teeth knockout. So, I would take white Tic Tacs.
A lot of fake fighting in the lounge.
Yeah, and I would go, I would say something, and I would get Johnny to fake hit me in the face, and I would spit Tic Tacs across the floor like it had knocked my teeth out. And it worked every time. It was always funny.
Very alarming.
I was very proud of it.
If you're not ready for it, it's
No, you
scary.
aren't.
Yeah.
Because you just cheek them,
Yep.
and you can talk for a little. They're
Yeah.
small enough.
You
You
can
can
hang
talk
on to
for a
them.
little while, and you can create a fake kind of altercation.
And it was weird when he'd use the orange ones because everybody,
Right, yeah,
would
right.
be like, "Oh, he is from Kentucky."
What you do is, though, and later
on,
on,
that
I
was
was
kinda funny.
you throw a red one in.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so it kind of creates a flash of color in
Yeah,
it. People
yeah.
makes it look even more real. This is the thing that kept me out of the elite institutions. So, to their loss, by the way. True story. Yet another true lounge stories with Johnny
Yeah.
Blaine. You know, when life settles back to normal and Trump is a horrible memory like a hurricane that came and went. We'll be able to do podcasty things where we're just reminiscing about stupid lounge stuff.
Amazing.
Oh, we could. I when I'm uber rich and I buy 666 Fifth Avenue and I take some of the equity out of it, I buy New Trier and turn it into a house, and then we'll just broadcast from the lounge.
That's right.
Like and I will, yeah. So
buy sticky buns from that weird window.
oh my God, ham and cheese on Kaiser roll.
Oh, yeah.
That was the key. That was my sustenance.
It was?
Yeah. That
I like it.
Yeah. I grew a full 2 inches while I was at New Trier. Yeah, because I was, Kentucky malnourished.
You started out small.
I did.
Yeah.
SM all.
SM Wall, small.
So the remark about so for those of you who don't know, so there's two levels of awful in the Trump remark that he said. The Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor, is better than getting the Medal of Honor in the military because the people who get that are dead or maimed, are full, shot up or dead.
They've been hit by bullets.
Yeah, they've been hit by so many bullets they're torn to pieces. Now, on top of everything, just what an awful statement. Just the idea that would even cross your mind, and then you would be stupid enough to articulate it.
You know what? Here's the thing. He thought that he was like hyping her up.
Well, we'll get to that. Yes, because why does he have to hype her up?
Right. I don't know.
Okay, so what he was talking about is Sheldon Adelson's wife, the widow of Sheldon Adelson, the rich dude from Vegas, and who gave a lot of money to his campaign, who is dead. And why did he bring that up? Well, recently he sent her an email that said that she was donating to a Republican super PAC.
Okay.
And he wasn't getting the money from that. It was going to congressional candidates, as it should.
Sure.
Like it's
ballot.
meant to elect Republicans, even MAGA Republicans, everywhere it can. That's what it's designed to do. And he apparently was mad that he wasn't getting a big enough chunk of that money. So he messaged her and said, don't give money to them. It's run by rhinos. And it was her main charity of choice, her political action committee of choice that she was sending it to. And basically he wasn't able to siphon money off of it because they were managing it well.
And so now they're the enemy because...
Yeah. So he wrote her an angry email, basically...
Like you do.
Yeah. And denigrating this organization that she had been donating a lot of money to and supporting stuff. And basically it got ugly. And he needs her money. And I don't know why he needs her money. I don't even know why, ladies and gentlemen, why he needed her husband's money, which is what I guess it
He's
initially
a billionaire, right?
Right. Why is any of this important? Why is even with this alleged, him paying his $50 million bond and all that kind of stuff, his $500 million bond.
Right.
All his talk being worth $9 billion because his brand is amazing. Like he could take out a home equity loan on his brand. That this guy, why does he need a dime? One of the biggest things about the Obama, I think it was it the second Obama run? But it was like the first $1 billion campaign. Both campaigns combined, including super PACs, spent $1 billion to get elected. Okay, that's not weird at all. Like Apple, a $1 trillion company, spends $1 billion on the launch of a product, not even the R&D of it, just getting it, people aware of it worldwide. They spend $1 billion. So to become president of the United States, the most powerful country on earth, $1 billion these days is not that much. It was just a watermark. People were like, wow, it actually tipped past that.
Buys any Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
They're
$1 billion.
so much smaller.
For Tic Tac. By the way, I'm so buying Tic Tac.
I know, I'm thinking about them.
Yeah,
too.
I can't. I don't know. We'll have to find them.
Yeah. It's got to be like an impulse buy. Like right at a checkout line.
Right, but it's got to be. It's such an impulse buy that it's closer to the register than the regular Tic Tacs. If you don't have the impulse to buy a whole thing of Tic Tacs, which is that big, which is the size of your like 2 thumbs. Mm-hmm. That's how big a Tic Tac. My thumbs, not his thumbs, because you're.
Are my thumbs bigger than yours?
Maybe not. That's so weird because your fingers are like.
Why do you have such big hands?
Huh?
Why do you have such big hands?
Because I'm a fighter, Adrian. No. So he in that thing, there's always a layer. In that Access Hollywood tape, it was that he was talking. He needed Tic Tac because he was gonna kiss the interviewer without her permission.
Oh, right.
He was gonna do it again. He was basically bragging like, I just start kissing these women, I can't stop or whatever, which is exactly what E. Jean Carroll said he started doing the assault on her with.
I cannot imagine.
Just ugh. But so not only did he say he can grab women like this, but he was prepping to do it again. In this horrible statement about the civilian honor being better than the military honor because you don't have to take a bullet to get it, and most of the people who get the other one are dead. So hey. Yeah, it's just as good, and you don't have to be wounded. Neat, like, good Lord, is that he's saying that thought came to his mind. He said it out loud. But the reason he said it was to try and patch things up. They flew her in, basically, so he could patch things up with her about this super PAC that he was mad that he wasn't getting enough money from, that he could suck up to her.
And he torpedoed his own campaign.
And I have never seen vets talking about him, even the ones that were, marginally on his side, speak more angrily about him than that statement. That was, and again, it's one of those things like, what will it take? And to my point, the word on the street is, after that statement, the biggest response I heard, from multiple sources internally, was, it sounds like he doesn't even want to win. Does he even want to win? That statement came up more than almost any other after he said that. Does he even want to win? Because it's...
Isn't that the only way he stays out of jail, though?
Well, at this point, jail might feel like a relief. One of the reasons I don't want him to go to jail is because I want jail to be around the corner for him for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Because once he's in jail, there's almost like a...
Well, they say that the guilty, when they're like, when you've caught the right suspect and they're in the holding cell, they go right to sleep.
Yeah. It's the most relaxed they've ever been.
Yeah, but if you put an innocent person in the holding cell, they are freaking the F out.
Yeah, right. And that's why a lot of people who know that pretend to freak out. If you watch the video of suspects on a true crime thing or on Forensic
ID
Files
channel,
there'll be people sitting at the table going, "How could this happen?"
Yeah. They
looking up.
confess.
It's a terrible they're like, I hope they catch the person. They're looking up the camera. They can't possibly believe I did it. Right. So
this is madness.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, Billy.
Right. Yeah. So Trump himself, the biggest word is that's how bad this was. That it was like, he's throwing the race. And there's I follow 2 QAnon accounts on Telegram because they're hilarious.
I bet.
Well, my favorite thing about them is that there's something right around the corner. Pay attention to the signs.
Always, it's coming.
It's just the storm is on the horizon.
Just you wait.
The horizon's just farther away than we thought.
Yeah.
And it always stays still. Why am I always? Maybe if I walk towards the horizon, it'll get closer. Okay, dum-dum.
Well, it's like my favorite procrastination joke. Like, my parents have called me a procrastinator. They kicked me out of the house because I was a procrastinator. And as I left, I said, just you wait.
Right.
That's not bad.
No, it isn't. It's pretty good. It's very dad-ish.
Oh, I love a dad joke. I'll never be a dad, but boy, oh boy, I love me a dad joke.
Oh boy. So the essence of this, the next couple of weeks.
The storm is coming. I'm sorry, I just saw someone in the chat say that. The storm is coming. That's the QAnon refrain.
That's all. Yeah, right. And by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, but there was a storm all during Trump's presidency. There was awful always happening.
Yeah.
My favorite thing I think about the QAnon stuff, and we have to take a break. We'll be back right in a second. If I had to pick a favorite, is that Hillary Clinton was hung for her crimes at Guantanamo early in Trump's presidency. They rounded her up. The FBI was at her house. They gathered her up. The White Hats took her to Guantanamo, and she was hanged for her crimes.
She looks great.
She does. The person that you saw after was a clone.
Oh, good.
So they could, I don't know, have a sense of normalcy afterwards. So that they, then the clone was hanged.
Oh.
Now,
Did the clone get out of line?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, how did they age the clone to exactly her age?
Seriously.
But also,
I guess it's pretty fun to hang somebody.
What'd the clone do?
Right? It's like, that was really cool. Let's do it again.
It's bad enough, do the sins of the father, or they visited upon the son, or whatever. That's nuts enough.
Oh, you know what? I didn't back up.
The clone
I had a video of the hanging, and I didn't back it up to the cloud.
Can we do it again?
Can we do it again?
Back to one, everybody.
Back
this
to
is the
one.
line of Hillary clones moving in, going, what'd I do? Who am I? What's my name again? I just came out of the goo. I don't even know what's going on. Right. What do they do? Load her memories in and then kill her for it? Isn't that you doing that? Yeah. That's an innocent human being right there. You monsters. They kill the baby right after it's born. They wait till the Hillary clone comes out, and then they decide what to do with it. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, completely off the rails in the most wonderful way. Hi, Chicago.
What about this? The military hates him. How's he going to do that?
Oh, he's got loyalists in there that aren't going to, that are always going to go. I mean, what he means is they should police the streets and places and the
throw out all
National
the
Guard.
immigrants,
Yeah,
yeah.
all the stuff that's illegal, and he's too stupid to know it's illegal. Oh crap! I forgot. I'm not using it as an iPad, so I tried to touch the screen like a moron.
One of my favorite recent attacks, or I guess it's an attack, is you know how we got the evangelical vote last time? Mm-hmm. Is that he was at some Christian
60 seconds, gents.
Thank you. 60 seconds.
Okay. And they asked him if he'd ever asked God for forgiveness.
Yes. I brought that up a long time ago. Like that is the essence of Christianity.
Yeah.
Is repentance.
Yeah, that's another. He's like, I don't even bring God into that. Really?
No kidding.
Yeah.
You mean like the rest of your life and everything you do? Yeah. If he doesn't bring, well, we'll talk about that. Because bring that up when we come back, because I want it to be on the radio too. And by the way, hi everybody, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm not saying because we're too busy just friending out.
Somebody says they can't hear me. I love you, buddy.
They can't hear you?
Yeah. It's just Alvin.
Oh.
Not that Alvin isn't important, but that's the only person.
Alvin!
He did it at the prayer breakfast.
10 seconds.
Thank you. 10 seconds. To love. 10 seconds of love.
I love that song.
I do too, and we used to sing 10 seconds of love.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I name-checked Seismograph last night on stage.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Because
What song did you sing with that 80s band?
Oh, I did. They were doing Tell Me by White Lion, so I came out and did
Nice.
Tell Me.
God, I love that. Were they good?
Yeah, they were great.
Nice.
I mean, the dude nailed the Vito Bratta stuff. It was great.
Jeez.
Yes, it was very good. So the you were bringing up that one of the big kind of like shock moments of Trump, and the piece of video that's certain of making the rounds
Yeah,
again.
it came back out.
Yeah, is Trump saying, they asked him, have you ever asked God for forgiveness? And him saying, I don't bring God into it, into that kind of thing. So no, I don't think so, or whatever. Okay, which I know what he's trying to do. And this is a younger, slightly more manipulative, cogent Trump than now, certainly. What he's trying to say, and he borrowed it. He borrowed this excuse from somebody else because he doesn't want to sound weak. So he likes the idea like, God's not responsible for my sins. I'm responsible for my sins.
Oh, okay.
That's been a long run. That's a long parallel in non-evangelical circles. Is that I gave my life to Christ and I accept Him as my Lord and personal Savior, and then I will atone for my sins on this earth before I die. There's a strain of Christianity, not evangelical. Lutherans and Methodists are very much like this. Methodists especially.
When you said meth, I was immediately...
Yeah. That's Methodist Christians, which is, it's
Totally
a whole different group. But
it's a high-energy service.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah, absolutely. Strip malls, a lot of strip mall churches. Just, don't go near the dumpster on that strip mall. It's a mistake.
I'm going to the Methodist church.
Although the singing is lovely, because they have no teeth. So
Right, yeah.
Anyways, so Trump saying, I never asked for forgiveness. There's always a second thought, and maybe this is just how I operate, that I'm always looking for what is the person really saying by this.
Yeah.
And the reason why it matters that you ask forgiveness is recognition of your sins at some point, with the idea that if you have accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior, and you have asked for forgiveness, and you are, on your, the side, you want to be at the right hand of your Heavenly Father, and all the stuff that goes with that, it will inform your behavior in the future, because you don't want to have to explain for something if you're killed in the process of doing something awful in your life. So you don't have to go. That's what the last rites are for. The Catholics found a way around that, which is like, we'll give you the last rites when you're dying, so that you can, and then there's purgatory, where you get one last shot just in case you were killed.
Where we are.
Yeah, exactly. We're in nerd purgatory, I call it, because you want to stay forever.
Yes.
But specifically, that was the other part of it, and that's the most concerning aspect for even those Christians that were watching that moment, was that they were like, oh, he's not even going to consider this may be a sinful act. I shouldn't do it in the first place.
Right.
Ever. And because that's what the awareness of sin is supposed to be for. It's not to torture yourself with it and carry it around forever. It's so that you go, wow, I don't want to feel that way again.
Right.
So that'll inform your behavior going forward. And he's incapable. The man is
Zero self-awareness.
zero. And it's grotesque how comfortable he is.
Yeah, that's what always bums me out the most, that he can just like go to sleep at night after saying the stuff he says.
Well, that's, there was an article about, has Trump found the fountain of youth? Now, no, he hasn't.
No.
He's aged very poorly in the last couple of years, but not because of the presidency. There was a thing about him. Everybody is aged by the presidency.
Yeah, that's an amazing montage of photos. Yeah,
And the only, they always say that you have to be slightly psychotic or sociopathic to be the president in the first place, just to think you can run and do it or whatever. That's not true.
The only one who really kept their looks was Kennedy, I think.
Well, his aging stopped at a very significant point.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, right. And there certainly wasn't a second term in that regard. Even Johnson, who was his vice president, he stepped down and he said he wasn't going to run again. He could have run again during his presidency.
He was cooked. I can't imagine being president during civil rights in Vietnam.
He would have won.
He would have.
He would have won, and we wouldn't have had Nixon. That's another mark next to the Biden. They should have left Biden alone. Would have been perfectly fine. But whatever. We'll start that. I'm very excited about Kamala. I have no problems with it whatsoever. My problem is they were trying to broom him and her and start from scratch.
Oh yeah.
All the people who were trying to really bounce Biden, he was like, okay,
Then
but
what?
she's staying, and they're like, no. That said, Trump, there's always a second tier to his awful, right? And in that, forgiveness thing, that what he means is not only am I going to do it, and so the reason he didn't age was because you have to worry.
Yeah.
Worry is what ages
Something
people.
has to weigh on your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And none of his decisions as president did. He didn't care.
Devoid of conscience? No problem.
Yeah. You can the easiest explanation is the rules of engagement that Obama put in place about drone strikes to mitigate and minimize the number of civilian deaths.
Right.
Trump took them off as soon as he got in office and just said, fill your boots, go for it. And the number of civilian deaths in the first year of the Trump presidency and every year after that were higher than 80% higher than all the years. The first year was 80% higher than all the years of Obama combined. Because that's why he was like, I can fix ISA in a matter of weeks, not months. It's also, by the way, the lesson learned for those lovely folks who think they're going to show up down here at the DNC and protest genocide. Understand that Donald Trump had another call with Benjamin Netanyahu after their meeting. And they asked him at that press conference in front of the Fruit Loops yesterday, what'd you tell him? And he said, you got to finish it quickly, get your victory, and get out.
What's the victory? Genocide?
Well, he goes and stop the killing. But he means, by the way, on your side. Stop them from being able to kill your people. Get it over with.
Yeah.
So what he means is, basically, Gaza's great beachfront property, why do they even deserve it? Flatten it, and I'll hand it over to you when I'm president. Just like I did with the Golan Heights. I'll recognize Jerusalem. We'll rebuild the Temple Mount. The evangelicals will frigging love me. And the same people who tried to sneak a nuclear bomb at one point, or were planning on doing it, they never got their hands on one, to blow up the Temple Mount to kind of jumpstart Jesus coming back in the late 80s, which is a plot that was foiled during Reagan. Those very same people, the people who believe that was a cogent plan, not the people who participated in it, they went to jail. But the people who believe it's a plan all support Trump because they believe that, as in a sort of Susan Sarandon way, he will bring about a chaos into the world, and we can rebuild the utopia or the.
Let's rush to the rapture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sick of waiting for Jesus's timeline
How are we going to do this? Let's be awful.
Yeah, right. The more awful we are, the quicker it will come. It's there's a ripping off the Band-Aid part of it, and then there's a pulling out the stitches on an abdominal wound, internally that they're talking about. Just, open heart surgery with a Bowie knife, a rusty, dull one at that. So, and Phil Itner's going to be joining us for the second hour. If he's,
I cannot wait to see him.
I know you can't, but chill. It's going to be rough.
He's a sturdy dude.
He is. He's very sturdy.
I
yes.
would not want to see the car that hit him.
That's right. You should see the other car.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll talk to him after that. But I got to say, I told everybody it's going to be fine. I've been telling everyone it's going to be fine. And those that have listened have been relaxed all through these bumpy times.
I was scared.
I know you were.
I wanted to believe you.
And now do you believe me?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fine.
It's going to be just fine. And what we need, apparently the Lord believed that Donald Trump needed to suffer more than he was. That it wasn't enough that he lose to a doddering old man that can't put a sentence together, that's campaigning from his basement.
What's next?
He's got to lose to a lady
What
of color.
kind of lady?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's the only thing that could, the Lord's like, how can I make this worse for this jerk? Wait a second, and that's how the plan's working out. We'll be right back after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. I would like to also send out some love to Lady B, who is at the studio to see us. We love Lady B.
We got our wires crossed.
Yeah, we got our wires crossed, so we didn't get to see her at the studio today because we were doing this from our dear friend Rob Glenn's space. And
who walked into me in the bathroom and I didn't notice.
Oh.
I guess I was welcoming it.
Yeah, waiting for it. Yeah. It's a dream. Yeah, this place has a very swinger 70s feel.
It really does.
It really does.
He's gotta
right after
move.
this. All the doors have no locks and just swing like saloon doors.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
I heard him laughing.
They swing both ways.
They do, all the doors. That's so weird. The hinges are. Oh. It's like getting on an airplane and leaving the bathroom door unlatched is the Mile High Club.
Do you guys need anything?
No, everything's great. This is paradise, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I don't have ice.
I don't know. We don't have ice anymore. Like sometimes I think we have ice, and we've got 2 ice trays. And then we're like, oh, let's check and see. And it's like the weird. It's like
Frozen
ice sawdust.
Right.
Like it's just like it's
Change
been
your
evaporating.
filter. What? Change your water filter in your fridge.
Oh, we don't have water. It's an old fridge. It's
Okay.
like from like '79, I think. It's an old fridge.
Now I know what I'm getting Johnny Million for Christmas.
It's very. I'll give you the measurements. It's very specific. It's
Thank
a
you.
small
Yeah,
spot.
that's the problem. That's
Yeah,
always
it
the
is.
problem.
Yeah.
It is the problem. It's the problem.
Like the cabinets are built around it and stuff.
You watch. There's going to be, and the sparklers are so lovely. There's going to be like the Johnny Million Refrigerator Fund.
Oh, speaking of which, there was a GoFundMe that, not a real GoFundMe, but Sean Stuckey, the artist extraordinaire who designed all the Johnny Million artwork,
Yes.
he started sending money and encourage other people to buy the meow pedal. Have you heard about the meow pedal?
No.
It has been purchased. It's a pre-order. It's not coming till September, but people who watch the stream, the meow pedal is coming.
Ooh.
And it just makes your guitar sing
Not
meow.
like, oh.
It's like 9 different meows.
Oh.
I cannot wait.
That's so awesome.
It's going to be amazing. The meow pedal is coming.
Yeah. Hold on. I think I have this in here. Hold on.
Happy birthday, Denise.
Let's see. Okay.
How do you not know of the meow pedal, Hal? A spicy dragon says Johnny needs a go fridge me. Betsy wants me to go easy on Phil. I'm going to get a look at him first.
Let's see.
Take my money, meow. The chat's pretty good here.
Almost feel like, I don't know if this will work, but we'll try it.
Oh! David Lee Roth. Yes, is that the David Lee Roth soundboard?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
I'll send you
It's
the
just a
link.
web page?
Yeah, it's a web page.
Oh my God.
It's Realm of Darkness. I'll send it to you right now.
Please.
It's my warm-up before shows. Oh, there he is. Okay, there's Phil in there. There
Yay.
you go. And wait, he's getting dressed or something in the background.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh,
How do I? Oh, I got to go to this other thing. Hold on, real quick. And I'll bring him in.
happy birthday to you, Peggy Peg. That's as much as I can do, Peggy Peg. Happy birthday, Peggy Peg.
Preview
Peggy Peg,
on.
Peg, Peg, Peg.
And then repeat. And then, whoops. Put repeat in here. And Johnny Million. Add here. Whoops. Oh, crap. There you go. Turn this on. We will be ready in a moment. We'll be ready right now in a second. Bring in
Meowdulator.
Phil in just 1 second. Let me do it in there. Excellent.
It's called the Meowdulator. Meowdulator.
The what?
The Meowdulator, like
The
modulator.
Meowdulator. That's awesome. Okay, there we go. That's interviews. Phil, can you hear us? Okay, and I don't. How do I bring? Wait, what am I? Oh, I see. That's why. It'll pop in a second. Beg your pardon. There we go. Get this over here.
Betsy says her voice was on point last night.
Oh, thanks. I was very proud. Yeah, it was. I have to admit, there was a moment where I was like struggling because of the arrangement or the songs in order.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes the
important.
notes in order, like singing the same spots, it'll start to irritate part of my vocal
when I was
cords.
in that
60 seconds.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
When I was in that AC/DC band, they had to be really careful about how they set the Bon Scott versus Brian Johnson songs.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing. All right, I'm gonna publish in, and then I think Phil, we should be able to hear you.
He looks
Okay.
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you wearing a robe?
Nope. Shirt. Ow. Ow.
Oh,
Oh, he doesn't look good. Is it your ribs?
No, it's my left arm.
Your left arm?
Yeah.
okay.
So are there x-rays that you can share?
No, I didn't go to the hospital.
He's doubling up on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to fix that right now. Yeah, I think I got it. We'll mute. Hold on. Let me try to do this. Oh, will mute. I see. Whoops. I see. That's why.
10.
Okay. Thank you.
We're working on the
there we
echo,
go.
everybody.
Excellent. Now, Phil, can you check for me? Okay. Yeah. So he's got to be through here. That's why.
You're listening to the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
If people walk on it, people report on it. It's being served.
Video streaming at housesparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Plus face little pimstick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Excellent. Okay. Now I think we're up and running. We're all good in that regard. Philip Itner joining us.
Yep.
Yep, indeed,
Am I
sir.
still got an echo, or is the audio fixed?
You're good. I think I fixed it. So it just needed a little loop through, and we're all good. It was just one of those wires cross things. That's always when you're in a new space doing something.
I don't think I can tell them like
The last time I was in Chicago with Johnny Million and we got together, it was with you, sir. Where we went to a Ukrainian restaurant here in town. That you introduced us to, and it was fantastic.
I had borscht.
He had borscht.
Little Ukraine, yeah.
Yeah, and I had pork fat on a cracker or whatever. It was lovely.
Pork that sounds like an exclamation.
On black bread, yeah.
Pork fat on a cracker.
Right.
We'll do a little ad for him. It's Try Zub, the restaurant in Chicago. That's a Ukrainian restaurant, and they're pretty good actually, considering.
How do you
they're
spell that?
On the other side of the Atlantic. Tryzub.
Tryzub.
Tryzub. It's trident.
Oh yeah.
It's the
symbol of Ukraine, right?
There we
yeah.
go.
Nice.
Yeah, there it is.
So, because they're all from Atlantis, obviously. The
obviously.
Neptune is the god of Ukraine. So, first of all, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Things are okay here in Canada. I had a little road accident yesterday.
Right.
And nearly broke my arm. So I'm a little
How
bit,
do you know you
a little
didn't,
bit
Phil?
raw. My left arm is very sore and swollen. I don't know if you can see that.
It's
but
bad.
Yeah, yeah, it was not fun.
What does a car look like? I'd hate to see the car.
Johnny.
I'm big. I'm not that big.
You're sturdy.
I'm sturdy. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens. It's such is life. That's okay. It'll heal in a couple of days. I'm not really stressed. For a minute there, I thought it might have been broken, but I said I'll sleep on. I'll sleep on it. I wake up tomorrow and it's worse. I'll go to the hospital. But it seems to be better. But it still hurts like a
balloon up
dickens.
on you.
Right. Well, that that sounds like something you would do, and you've been in battle zones in the like most of your adult life, it seems.
That's
so
true.
You see a lot of people.
In all seriousness, when we used to travel around in war zones, the journalists that I respected the most that I used to travel with, one of the things that a lot of us would say was, you need to be careful on the roads because everybody's driving around like maniacs because they're all scared of artillery coming in or bombs or what have you, or they're just evacuating, and people drive like idiots. And I mean, you'd think the worst threat in a war zone would be somebody trying to shoot you, but actually, it can be road accidents. I was with Byron Pitts back when he used to work with CBS, and he got in a terrible car accident, and we thought we were going to have to ship him out, but thankfully he walked away from it. But yeah, I mean, that's car accidents are no joke, even in a war zone, maybe especially in a war zone.
Yeah. It's a war zone right now, Kursk. So, holy smokes! Again, it speaks to the sort of impact of what a chaos agent Donald Trump is. That this story about the Ukrainian invasion of Russia, of the Kursk region, 2,000 square kilometers now. They, you and I talked about how the Russians seem to never adapt. And so they've just been bringing in supports in columns, and those columns keep getting wiped out. There's a lot of radio silence. Obviously, there's stuff you wouldn't want to give away in a situation like this, but what's the update that you're aware of about how it's reading there and what's on the news there, how they're talking about it?
Well, there's a lot to unpack. This is a major new development in this war, and it will be when the history of this war is written. This will be a major part of it. So there's a lot, as I say, a lot to unpack. On the ground inside Russia, it does look like the Ukrainians are continuing to expand. They're taking out bridges. They are suffering losses. They've lost some of apparently it looks like they've lost some of the HIMARS that were delivered to them, the longer range artillery system that we gave them. It looks like they may have lost at least one of those. But this is war, and I keep looking at all the people who are like trying to cope with it. The guys who want to see Ukraine lose, and I see a lot of talk about, oh, look at all these vehicles that are being blown up, and I keep going, well, yeah, but what did they do before they got blown up? You're gonna lose assets when you're in a fight.
Absolutely.
But the question is, how did you do more damage to the enemy before that video that just isolated shows a Bradley, a U.S. provided Bradley fighting vehicle blowing up, and all the guys were like, see, Ukraine is they've overextended and they're gonna destroy all the best equipment in this foolhardy endeavor. And you're like, well, no, first off, what did they do before that one isolated video? And secondly, it's no small thing that they've taken the fight into Russia. And I think it's also worth noting, by the way, also that you look at Russia's incursion into Ukraine. They had to fight for every single inch, and they leave scorched earth behind them. The Ukrainians fight for these cities until there is nothing left of them because they're natural, defenses. So Ukraine, as Russia advances into Ukraine, the Ukrainian armed forces fight for every single inch and leave behind these carcasses. Ukraine going into Russia, the populace isn't fighting. Even the Russian armed forces aren't really fighting. There's widespread surrendering going on that's documented. It's just so interesting to see the difference between, as Ukraine goes into Russia, they're absorbing totally intact cities and towns because they're not fighting for them. Whereas, as we've all seen over these last 2.5 years, when Russia comes into Ukraine, they got to fight for every single inch. And I think that's worth that difference is worth making and pointing out. So Ukraine is going in, and there's another aspect to it. I just did some filming today for this weekend's episode of On the Edge, and I was speaking with my Ukrainian associate, and I said, well, what are you seeing with this? And she said, one of the things I'm seeing is that now people are giving money like crazy, and people are actually signing up to go and fight. Because when we had this long period of, not least of which because of the lack of ammunition coming from the States, there has been reluctance to sign up. There has been concern about the future of the fight. But to see Ukrainian forces inside Russia and doing as well as they're doing, Ukrainians are now starting to put money into, supporting the armed forces more, and they are actually, signing up to go and fight. And that's human nature. I totally understand that. You don't want to join a fight that looks like it's some sort of morass, but you will join if there's wind at your back.
Right. If you see some sort of goal that you can help achieve, certainly. We're going to take a break. We'll come back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Johnny Million is with me right here, and he's going through questions in the chat room and pulling them out. So for Phil, and everybody is also wishing you well in mass as well. So we'll handle some of those, and then I have a couple of questions for you as well as soon as we come back. So we'll be back right after this. So, Phil, your mic is intermittent a little bit.
Okay.
Let
me see if I can fix it.
What's weird is that he's not cutting out at all for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, somebody suggested mic crossover, so I don't know if it's something about how you've got it.
Mm-mm.
No? Are we hearing the same source?
Yep.
Okay.
See if I can get this working.
If you're hearing it, it should be his going in and out, not
yours. Yeah, it's not on this side. I can see the meter on my end. Yours is really loud.
It's really loud.
So because it's really loud, you're hearing the low parts normally. So that's probably the comfortable volume for you.
It's so fucking loud.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's hanging out of my ear. It's like...
should I just hold it like here?
Please. That'll be perfect.
I'll just dangle it.
Oh, I like it. Why did I just get goosebumps? So somebody said, "Kiss already, you two."
Again.
We're back in 20 seconds.
Thank you. Well, that actually does kind of work.
I don't know why this isn't working. Nope, still not working.
Okay, no, that seems a little smoother.
No,
whatever.
No.
Might just be a volume thing.
Attention, attention, stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So, Phil, on top of all this stuff, Phil Itner's with us. By the way, he's got a podcast called On the Edge. People want to check that out. He's in Kyiv right now.
Lev Parnas this week.
Lev Parnas is going to be on your show this week? Excellent. Yeah. And he's got a new book coming out, or a documentary rather.
With
I believe Rachel Maddow's company is behind.
Production company. Yeah.
Her production company, right. So it's their first documentary, which is really fascinating. That as a choice, it's not that surprising, but it's a good choice for them to do. What I have been seeing around the Kursk offensive is that there seems to be just a single a total collapse of whatever internal security they had. Like either they believed they had the public cowed so much that they didn't need even that many well-funded police departments or something. It's hard to understand. Like they're not going to send SWAT teams against their equivalent against a military incursion inside the country. So they're just kind of things are just falling. Like again, like you said, the Ukrainians are definitely getting losses because the Russians are fighting. But even when they're pulling people from that, they're allegedly, by the way, they're saying they're pulling people from Donbass and bringing them in there. But I have yet to see any positive impact from that. It's not like they're the best trained or they're this allegedly they're these are the reinforcements everybody was waiting for.
Well, yeah, and they're still. I don't know how much they've pulled from Donbass because they're still making progress.
Right,
the Russians are still making progress in Donbass. They're zeroing in on a town called Pokrovsk, so I don't know if they really did pull their frontline troops out to then circle around and defend Kursk. But you're right. I mean, it does. Most of what it seems to be is border guards and kind of conscripts, and because you legally, this is one of the problems Russia that Putin has, is that so there are conscripts. There are these. You go through conscription in Russia when I think you're 18 or 19. I think it is. Right. But the deal is, unless you're in a state of war, those conscripts are not to be sent abroad. They're supposed to. So what this means is these are a bunch of young kids who are just doing their year's service, and they're literally 18 or 19 years old, and they don't want to fight this fight. They've got. I mean, it's clear that they have no desire to fight this fight. You have well-trained, battle-hardened Ukrainian troops bearing down on 18, 19-year-old conscripts because again of this Russian law, and they're not fighting. So the whole thing is, and of course, obviously, back in Moscow, everybody is freaking out. And this is a bad look for Vladimir Putin. You got to understand how you are taught in Russia. I mean, this is mother's milk kind of stuff. That always, as a Russian, be aware that you are always under threat of invasion. In the concept of invasion is deeply ingrained in their history and in their culture. It makes them paranoid, that everybody's coming for them. Somebody's always come. The wolf is always at the door, sort of thing. But given the fact that they've been invaded so many times in their history, you can understand where their, dialectic comes from. But this fear of invasion is integral to their identity and their who are we as Russians? It's this. Well, we're a country that everybody covets. Everybody always wants to invade us, and this plays into that narrative. But it is not playing into the narrative the way I think maybe Putin wants it to, or the ruling elite in Moscow would like to see it happen, which would be, well, let's rally round the flag and let's all fight, for every inch, and we'll turn every town into Stalingrad and all the rest of it. No, quite the contrary. It is, we're being invaded and everybody run for the hills. It seems to be the way that the Russian population is responding there. However, having said that briefly as well, pardon me, is that the Russians who don't leave and are left in these little towns as the Ukrainians come in, the Russians are like, actually, the Ukrainians have been really nice. We got no problem. Contrast that to Bucha. Contrast that to Hostomel, where Russian troops came in and did mass murder and war crimes. So the Russians are publicly, now obviously they've got Ukrainians walking around with guns. They're not going to be too hypercritical, even if they didn't like them. But the widespread response, because now we are starting to see foreign journalists. First there was an Italian crew in, and I think now the New York Times is in there, and CNN is in there. So they're talking to the people on the ground there, and the Russians who are having their towns, conquered in essence by Ukrainians are like, okay.
Right.
Which is totally different than Ukrainians, because Ukrainians, at the beginning of this war, you had little old ladies filling up wine bottles with kerosene to make Molotov cocktails. You don't see any of that happening in Russia. And it tells you a lot about how Russians have a relationship with their government and their, their country and all the rest of it, and how Ukrainians do. So it's been a sharp contrast.
Good Lord. There's a, we'll get to a question in a minute, too. By the way, infotainmentwars.com, like, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. There's a, I guess there's so much, it's like a deluge of news on one side. There's so much information coming out, and everybody seems to be, to Russia's benefit, I guess, to some degree, or at least temporarily so, chalking up to, well, it might not be verifiable, could be fog of war, but, so take everything with a grain of salt. However, there's a lot going on and doesn't look good for Russia, etc. But on the other side, the U.S. is making very few limitations on what, Ukraine is allowed to do. They said, I think the only thing they've given limitations on use inside Russia was the Storm Shadow missiles.
Yeah.
But pretty much everything else, I think the thing that stood out was the State Department and the military, both the Pentagon briefing and the State Department briefing, where they just kind of shrugged it off like, hey, Russia picked this fight. At this point, I don't know what to tell you. And it seems like to me, that's what told me personally that they had given them the go-ahead or said it was okay with them, that they were made aware of it within limits.
Well, you can't fire a HIMARS without satellite imagery.
Right.
So of course we were giving them data and satellite information and all the rest of it. So yeah, Moscow can cry bloody murder as much as they want, but you're right, they started this fight, and this is the response. And I absolutely 100% think that the Pentagon, State, and the White House are all pretty much on board with what they're doing. It is a risky thing to do, but we hope the Ukrainians aren't going to overextend themselves. There's another thing also to mention is that there's been at least one HIMARS hit that's been verified to have been a dummy. It's a fake.
Right, they hit one of the wooden versions of them.
Exactly. The Ukrainians will haul in these like fake, wood, plastic, inflatable even. I don't know which ones they're using, but these are the kind of variations that exist. And they trot these things out, and then they provoke the Russians into firing. Not only do they then use ammunition to blow up a wooden facsimile of a HIMARS, but it also it assists in targeting, because then you know where their artillery is.
Right.
So the Ukrainians are fighting this in a very smart, very shrewd and cunning way. The Russians, on the other hand, are doing it the same way they do, as with the columns and but then also in addition to that, war crimes. I mean, there's a video circulating right now, put up by Russians, of a decapitation. and them showing
Right.
a Ukrainian, soldier that's been decapitated. And I won't go into graphic detail, but that's how you Russians fight wars.
Right.
And it's no wonder that like people in villages are kind of almost welcoming Ukrainians, whereas out in Donbass, Ukrainians are fighting tooth and nail because Russia is a brutal occupier.
Yeah. We obviously have questions that are going to be coming up after the break as well. I wanted to show something, if I could, real quick before we do that, and while we have here. And by the way, thanks for doing the show today, considering that you got bumped by a vehicle.
Yeah.
There is a correspondent storyline that I found particularly fun, and I just thought I'd share it because it kind of interlaces. So for those that don't know, China has 2 super carriers. Both of them are Soviet copies. One of them was made into a hotel. The Russians sold it to the Koreans for scrap. The Chinese bought it and turned it into a luxury hotel. And then they recommissioned it to put it on, to show America who's boss. And they put this super carrier out there, by the way, that can only launch helicopters that the runway on it was so deconstructed over time that you couldn't run a real jet across it or it would just crack in half. So they just used it for helicopters, effectively, was the plan, and I guess launching other submersibles or something. But anyways, it's a super carrier that isn't a super carrier. Anyways, it caught fire just randomly this week, and it's a huge fire. I'm showing it on the live stream right now, but it's the Minsk. It's like Russia is losing ships it doesn't even own anymore. That's amazing. I don't think people understand how enormous. One of 2 of China's super carriers, and by the way, the United States, I think there's only 13 super carriers in the world. The United States has 11 of them, right? Yeah. Russia, and China has the other 2 at this point because Russia decommissioned theirs a long time ago. It's been sitting in dry dock forever. It's not even launched. This one was being used as a hotel. They recommissioned it to be used. The other one that they have, that they made based on their new design that has kind of the ramping runway on the front of it, you may have seen it. There are 2 enormous cracks in it, in the runway. You could not fly a ship off the front of it or that little lift would collapse into the sea. It is useless and super expensive. This one could arguably float and be functional. You just can't launch the right airplanes off it, but they could launch helicopters, perhaps. The bridge, the entire bridge, if you see the picture that's online available of it, is completely burned out. It was a massive fire. So again, it's bad luck to even name your ships after Russian ships at this point. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. I mean, it felt like you could. That picture is just amazing to me.
Yeah. I've been on one of ours. I was on the Harry S. Truman.
Oh my God!
And our aircraft carriers are formidable. There's that picture. That's the famous picture. The one that's really been making the rounds. Anybody who's stupid enough to fight with the United States is, foolish. How's the audio?
I got it. Don't worry. It's still intermittent a little bit, but the volume's okay. It's just.
Let me see if since we're in a break.
That sounds good. But I can tell, it sounds really sharp and clear. What it does is it sounds really sharp and clear, and then it sounds like it's got a gate on it that kicks in.
I wonder if it's wireless.
Could be the wireless, yeah. Are you using your headset mic, or are you using... Which mic are you using?
I was using the headset, but now you're dropping out, so I'm going to go back to the way it was.
Okay.
There we go. I don't know why my mic My mic is being difficult today.
It happens. That's okay. Now you sound good, though.
Okay. Yeah, we have 11 of those things. I think the Brits have one that they're about to launch. They've been having problems.
Yeah, there's
problems with it.
I mean, it's like the irony is it's like those giant cruise ships. It's a huge endeavor to have a ship that big. I mean, it's the amount of just the things that have to go right for a ship like that to work is huge. It's like space shuttle level stuff. And I don't think people appreciate it. It's just like you see these big like cruise ships that look like cities, and you're like, it's a big deal. Okay, if you fire anything off of a ship, it pushes back on the substructure.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks
It has to
Radio
withstand
Program,
that.
Mega Worldwide.
We're just talking the difference between giant city-sized cruise ships and supercarriers, which, pound for pound weigh almost the same. The difference is that a cruise ship doesn't have to retain its form and balance with a giant cannon or anything firing off the front of it, even at minimum.
Or launching F-22s off of it.
Exactly. Yeah, the thrust of or stopping them. That's the other thing. Imagine what it takes
when they come and land.
The catch line on an F-16 landing or F-22, Raptor landing on that thing and tugging the ship in space. Like the weight of that. That's part of how the design works. Like there's so many corresponding things, and I just don't think people appreciate.
They're wild. Those carriers are.
Yeah,
they're
huge.
Bizarre.
So let's get to some of the questions because I know there's a ton. So, Johnny, jump in there real quick and.
Right on. So I've got a question from Mary P. What's happening with the average Russian citizen? Is this starting to become main news?
It is main news. Yeah, absolutely. It's on their talk shows. I saw one of their shows is hosted by this woman by the name of I think it's Maria Skabayeva, but her last name is Skabayeva, her family name, and she did a whole. She opened up her program, her news program, with a plea to the Ukrainian people. Don't go too far into Russia. We are, after all, a nuclear power. And it was like, you would not say that if you were not totally terrified of what's happening down there. So it is absolutely affecting Russians, and in the capital in particular. But I'm sure all around the Russian Federation, as I was saying earlier, this strikes at the very core of who they are. Because they're obsessed with the idea of being invaded. And that's
I guess maybe the secret is right. Because of whatever you think about, you draw to yourself. It's the law of attraction, ladies and gentlemen. They thought too much about it. Kept saying invasion. Also, there are reports now that Russian troops have retreated across the same river, destroying bridges behind them as Ukraine forces advance in the Kursk region. They are bugging out of areas. Withdrawal appears to be taking place on the northern flank of the Kursk region. The Russian army has organized a retreat to the eastern bank of the same river in Tetkino. Populated areas have been evacuated, sort of. They keep saying they've been evacuated, but every time we hear about it, Russians are like, yeah, they've been evacuated. They told us to get in our VW bus and drive quickly away from the Ukrainian border, whichever way it is from you. The two bridges at Tetkino and Popova Lisachi are blown up as the enemy approached. The Ukrainians approached, so they're blowing up their own bridges. There's something kind of glorious about that. There's something.
I do love a Tetkino.
Huh?
A Tetkino in a Mexican restaurant.
I haven't had one. I think. Yeah. Are they crunchy or soft?
They're crunchy.
All right.
They're kind of like little floaters.
They talk about a blow up though.
I heard this floated, this idea that one of the motivations for Ukraine to do this is that instead of fighting for towns in Ukraine that didn't get destroyed over the fighting, why not cross into Russia, take towns, and then fight urban warfare inside Russia instead of fighting urban warfare inside Ukraine? There's a certain logic to that.
Absolutely. I mean, it also erases the logic of bragging you're a nuclear power Because if you bomb our country while we're inside your country, what do you think's going to happen? What are you going to nuke your own town to get rid of us? You know, what are they, bug bombs now? You know, so if you do that, if they were to use a tactical nuke inside Russia, not only would all the, you know, the people who've been working for the Ukrainians inside Russia like step up their stuff 100%, but the Ukrainians that are already in there would just fan out and just start. I mean, they wouldn't kill civilians, but they would be blowing up everything that could be used for military purpose. It'd be like Mad Max in there.
Well, and we've been, you know, what is concerning is we have actually been hearing in the last 24, 36 hours talk from the Russians saying, we think the Ukrainians are about to launch a false flag event at a nuclear facility, either at Kursk or at Zaporizhia. And the troubling thing about that is whenever the Russians say we expect them to do this as a false flag, the concern is, well, they're going to do it and try to convince the world that it was the Ukrainians who blew up their own stuff. Yeah, which is a patent misunderstanding, a lack of understanding of Ukraine and Ukrainians. It's like, you know, if they were found to be doing this, the betrayal between the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian military or government would be devastating. And I don't think
there's no point.
The government. Yeah, you know, one of the strongest weapons that Kiev has at its disposal is the fact that it's unified.
Yes.
You know, the country is mobilized and unified. So the idea that they would take a risk at creating some sort of false flag is a complete lack of understanding of what's happening here. And also, in addition to that, the Ukrainians don't need to do that. The Ukrainians have international support. They don't need to stage some sort of fake thing at a nuclear facility in order to get international support or to, you know, garner more support internally within Ukraine. It's always disturbing when the Kremlin starts to say stuff like, oh, we think the Ukrainians are about to do this, because it probably means more likely than not they have designs on doing something. So
that's right.
We're mindful of it, but you know, it's fighting Russia. It's what it takes to fight Russia. They're crafty that way.
Let's grab another question.
Sure. This is from Phantom KO. Does Phil think Putin really told Trump no way, and then Trump told Putin way? When's the last time Phil saw Wayne's World?
Yeah.
I know. Where
was
God. This entire time?
It's so stupid.
It's so stupid. It's so pathetic, and it
sounded
just
so weird on that too.
Yeah, he really did. He really did. I mean, it's way, no way. And you know he didn't say, even if he didn't use those exact words, right? Which is ridiculous. But the attitude of like, I stood up to Vladimir Putin. I mean, I spoke to Lev Parnas this week, right? Interviewed him this week, and we talked about Trump and his interactions with Putin. And Lev says he was always this little sycophantic puppy. That like if you like Viktor Orban comes over from Hungary and says Vladimir Putin says hello, and Trump would get giddy like a little boy. Like what did he say? Did he say nice things about me? Does he like me? Oh, So for his narrative to be, I told Putin you can't go for Ukraine, you know, and he said way, and I said, you know, no way and way, and it's just no, man. You are his lapdog. You're his little lapdog. So, yeah, I don't buy it for a half a second.
Yeah, and again, it sounds like something like he got permission to say that happened, right? But you've got to make yourself sound like a toddler. Like, sure, tell people you boss me around, but say it in a really ridiculous, childish, stupid way, or you'll suffer gravity poisoning.
Yeah.
You will not bounce like you look like you would bounce. Trust me, my friend, you would not. So let's grab another one real quick.
Sure, this is from Paul. How would you say this, Hal?
Paul McSubin.
Thank you. Does Phil think Russia will now bomb the area that Ukraine have taken?
And he said, cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
What? Well, will they bomb the area internally within Russia that Ukraine has taken? Yeah, absolutely they will. I don't think they'll have any, but they're not bombing Ukrainian villages that are going to be defended by Ukrainians. They're going to be bombing their own stuff. And I think that's part of the motivation here, is they're sick of having their own towns destroyed. Why don't we make the Russians destroy, Russian towns? We'll just invade, take territory, and Russia can blow up its own villages instead of blowing up ours. Yeah. No, and also Russia has no problem destroying its own infrastructure or killing its own people. It's all disposable for them.
That's awful.
As long as Moscow survives and St. Petersburg survives, and all the kind of various little mining and infrastructure that makes them rich survives, they don't care about these little border villages. Never have. That's part of the problem.
I wanted to show this too because it's insane as per usual. Kadyrov says, Elon, thank you. Kadyrov showed a Tesla Cybertruck with a machine gun mounted on it for the SVO zone, which would be these, I guess, their version of special military operation. I don't know, special violence operation. He invited Elon Musk.
Voyenny is Russian for war.
Yeah, the special war zone.
Fighting, I guess it would be.
Yeah, the Chechen ruler invited Elon Musk to his palace in his place in Grozny, but he showed this thing and he said, "We received a Tesla Cybertruck from Mr. Elon Musk. It is a very convenient machine." Based on such excellent characteristics, the Cybertruck will soon be sent to the SVO area where it will be in demand under appropriate conditions. I'm sure this beast will bring a lot of benefits to our fighters, Kadyrov said in his telegram.
It's got a real Google Translate vibe.
Yes, it does. It has a very, like these words don't exactly.
Ridiculous. It looks absolutely. They mounted the machine gun on the back there.
Well, there's a flatbed, so it's a pickup truck. All Cybertrucks are pickup trucks. Yeah,
I know. But to have mounted that machine gun on the rear, just it looks so ridiculous.
I would like. What was the like Camaro car that had a pickup flatbed on it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The old. It was
Not
the
a Durango.
No,
a Brat.
No. It was the old but it was the car. It was the choice of cars for serial killers. Somebody will pop it up in the chat room. I have no doubt. El Camino. Thank you. Yes, that's what it was. The El Camino. I would like to argue that the Cybertruck is not a Cybertruck. It is a Cyber El Camino. For the record,
it doesn't look like a truck to me.
It's a car. Yeah, it's a car with a pickup truck with a flatbed.
Yeah.
That's an El Camino. Sorry. So this is just an El Camino in an 8-bit video game. Just such a jerk. So let's take a break and we'll come back with our final chunk of questions from the audience and our people in the chat room at infotainmentwars.com. Remember, patreon.com/HalSparks is a great way to support the show. We will be back right after this. There we go.
Hi, I'm John.
I had a buddy of mine who used to work for Tesla.
Oh dear God.
As a public affairs officer.
2 years ago.
Wait.
Was that?
And he. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's Johnny's having another conversation.
So he used to work for Tesla as a public affairs guy. He got out of the military and went into the private sector. And he met with Musk several times. And he said as public affairs, he said one of the things you got to do is you got to stop using, knockoff rechargeable AA batteries, because that's all he was doing. Was stacking AA
That's
batteries.
what the Tesla wall is. The Tesla wall battery is just an array of 1,000 rechargeable AA's, run in sequence.
Oh my.
Yeah, and
my
buddy was like, Elon, this will be a public affairs disaster.
Yeah.
If that gets out and these things start, bursting in flames and all the rest of it. And Musk was just like, meh.
Whatever.
Well, look what happened. I am increasingly.
We're back in 20.
Thank you.
I'm increasingly critical of Musk. I mean, not that I ever was pro Musk, but
Right.
The man's a maniac, and he's a menace.
I think I'm kind of passively pro-Musk.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just after like 18 hours.
Oh, yes. You create your own Musk.
I am.
Yeah.
I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. 'Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yeah. So this is what was that? It's just a whiz bang.
It's a David Lee Roth soundboard.
Oh, all right. Nice. So my happy ending is. So I got a lightsaber that I'm going to have Mark Hamill sign, or at least get a picture of him holding it.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it?
No. This is the comlink from the trash compactor scene in Star Wars.
That's so awesome.
This is the thing that he has on it. And
Turn off all the guns.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Shut them all down. Right, that part.
Yeah.
This is what 3PO had on him, and Luke had.
That?
I got it at Disney World, and it comes with a belt clip, which is so awesome, and probably better than the belt clip they had in the movie.
Probably.
And it works as a Bluetooth. I showed this off on the stream before, but it works as a Bluetooth microphone.
That is amazing.
And you can actually take calls.
You can take a call
for your
on
phone. That is so. That's the only reason I had to get it. Like if it was just a prop, I would have been like, oh, that's kind of cool. I could probably 3D print one that's bigger. And then it's got little buttons on the side of it, so you can like raise the volume and you can link it to your phone. It is linked to my phone, and it's got a little charging port on the side of it because that we live in 2024. And I have I'm like, this is so goofy and lovely. I had to get it, and it was actually surprisingly cheap.
Absolutely.
And then I'm wearing my Epcot shirt because
people in the chat were very pleased about that.
Yes, because Summer and I went to Epcot, and I have to say, if you're going to do the Disney World thing, and I highly recommend it because that's my level of maturity, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Epcot Center, far and away the current best ride there, followed swiftly by Tron, the light cycle ride, which I rode in Shanghai for the first time because they had it there when I went to Shanghai Disney as part of the show I was filming there before COVID ate the world. I rode the light cycle there as well. Wow. And I was like, oh my God, this ride, we need it in the United States. And then they built it at Disney World. And I got to say, walking around Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars area.
I really want to go there.
You gotta. They have it at Disneyland. They're almost identical.
Are they?
The one at Disney World is slightly longer. So you can, and there's a couple things that are out of order. Like they moved one street over, but it's basically, which if you've been to...
Can I interact with Chewie?
Huh?
Can I interact with Chewie?
Sure, he'll walk around. Yeah. I would argue go during the fall and winter months if you're going to go and you want to see Chewie, because they're not going to make him walk around in the summer.
Oh, yeah, it gets
Yeah, it's too hot. Yeah, he starts to stink. He smells like Shaggy DA. Yeah, you wouldn't mind.
I've been to the one in L.A. at Disneyland, Anaheim, but I haven't been out that way.
The Disney World one is worth a trip. After this war is over, Phil, we will put a GoFundMe together to send you on a ridiculous vacation to like 3 spots that are just childish and silly and fun, and we'll send you to the Grand Canyon, Disney World, and another place of your choice. Probably, a mock opium den or something. I don't know what you're going to need after all this is over. But let's grab our last couple of questions before we run out of time, because the show will get away from us.
It will. So this is a question from Siha. I keep going into an imaginary mic that's not here.
Yeah.
Because it's right. I'm definitely getting one of these.
Yeah, it's good.
That recent bridge attack in Kursk sure looked like an F-16 strike to me. What do you think, Phil?
Not necessarily, but maybe. I'd be slightly surprised because they do not want an F-16 to get shot down
over Russia. especially
over Russia, and not because they wouldn't want an F-16 to be shot down like inside Russian territory, although that might be a concern as well, but also because air defenses internally within Russia are quite good. So you don't want to risk it. I would say if it wasn't an F-16, it could have been a HIMARS. What's the larger one they have where it's only 2 missiles in a HIMAR as opposed to the whatever it is 8. We don't know. That's another point worth making is that the Ukrainians have been excellent with what they call operational security or OPSEC. This has been a total surprise on the Russians, and they very much are controlling information as they should in any military operation. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I just don't see them putting the F-16s inside Russian airspace. Not right now. Not until their air defense is more degraded.
I agree. Yeah. Go ahead, Johnny.
Got one from Burrito Bowl, which sounds delicious.
Right about now.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Does the push into Russia mean Ukraine is not going to try to retake Crimea this year?
This year? Okay. First, let me answer, do I think that they're going to try and take back Crimea? I do. I think they still have their dead set on getting Crimea and Donbass back, by hook or by crook. This year might be ambitious, but then again, also, I know that part of the plan to take back that territory, there's a certain kind of battle plan that includes getting Putin deposed. Because once Putin is out of the Kremlin, Russia falls into disarray. There are internal struggles, and maybe and the thinking is that Russian forces will be more easily defeated, or they might also just drop their weapons and go home. Because once Putin is dead, there's no reason for them to be here. Not really.
Right.
Or there's no motivation. Crimea is going to be very difficult to recover for a lot of different reasons. And I think maybe it's more likely that you put Crimea under threat. You break the land bridge, you control the water flow coming out of what used to be the Kakhovka Reservoir, which is controlled out of Kherson, and you can starve off Crimea. But actually invading it's going to be very difficult, and I don't see it happening this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's such a wild card to them invading Kursk that they're going to be responding to Russia's response to it as well. So it may be that it's a bait away. I mean, certainly if you're going to move troops away from someplace and you got to backfill them from somewhere, you're going to do them deeper in the territory you have, which would be Crimean forces, but they can't afford to. Yeah.
Well, there's one other important point to make before we go on to the next question is also, why does Russia really want Crimea? Aside from the historical importance of having Crimea, because they didn't take Odessa. I've been saying this for a while now. The second Russia didn't take Kiev and decapitate the government and take Odessa and regain control of the Black Sea, they lost this war. It's only an inevitability. As long as Ukraine still owns Odessa, they can threaten Crimea, which so much of this war has been about. Because look where the Black Sea is right now. The Black Sea Fleet is not in Sevastopol anymore. It's not in Crimea. It's on the far eastern shore of the Black Sea. So why even hold Crimea if your Black Sea Fleet can no longer safely be stationed there? So, I don't. This has just been so disastrous for Russia. And again, it's tick, tick, tick for Vladimir Putin because no Russian leader survives losing dominion over the Black Sea and stays in power. So anyhow, I think we got time for another couple.
At least one more. What do we have?
I've got one from Sean Romanko. Can you ask Phil about the rash I have on my inner thigh? It started 2 weeks ago and is in the shape of the Kursk Oblast region.
Get that checked out.
Yeah, okay. Definitely get it checked out.
I would say it's Yeah, I mean, I would have. I think honestly, it's your fault for allowing your leg to invade rash in the first place, and you had it coming.
All right, so this is from 56 Nick Rich. Is there sufficient infrastructure to supply the civilian population still? Are imports flowing?
In Ukraine in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah. We're still getting imports. We get foodstuffs. It gets more difficult, obviously, as you get closer to the fighting out east. It's not. We're not getting fresh oysters or filet mignon anytime soon. But we're we're fine. There's a supply chain. We're okay.
Yeah, awesome. And then one more.
What do you think? Which one do you want?
The condition of the Kirchbridge we'll know more in the future, but we don't know anything on that one right now. But can you ask Philip about what percentage of trains are electric in Russia? Are there electric, are the train systems in the cities and also the rest of the country electric or diesel or whatever?
It's both. There's both. I mean, here in Ukraine, which kind of has a similar railway system because of the Soviet Union, long haul or transportation of heavy goods is done with good old fashioned
diesel locomotives,
heavy duty locomotives. But if you're just going, say you're going to the suburbs, you're going to a local, that can be an electric. So they have both systems here. Sometimes also long distances can be electric as well, but it's a mix. And the interesting thing on the other side of the border is that Russia also has a similar system, although because of their much more large territory that they need to move stuff around in, a lot more of them are these heavy-duty locomotives, which are reliant on Western parts. And there's a lot of talk that maybe part of the reason why they're not able to mobilize their troops and bring them around to bear in Kursk is because their railway system is starting to break down. There's a lot of talk about that.
Yeah, like every other system in there, because they've sent all the competent people either to battle or they've fled the country. So, all right, we're at the end of the show. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Phil. Thank you, Chicago. Miss you, Lady B. Johnny Million. Sexy Liberal tonight, and the pay-per-view is still available tonight. SexyLiberal.com/tour. Check it out.
We did it.
Look at that.
Yay.
That's weird. We've been here the whole time, and it's just crazy. And Phil, we wish you were here with us so that we could actually. Wait.
All right. Well, you know what you can do to make it up for me.
What?
I want a Luke Skywalker quote for On the Edge.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm shameless. Shameless.
No, I'll do everything I can. Absolutely.
I hope to see him because he's going to go to LA as well, isn't he?
Yes, he'll be in LA.
He'll be in LA, and I'm going to go to the Sexy Liberal.
How much is the
because
pay-per-view?
I'm coming home to vote. I'm going to fly home and vote.
$20.24.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, $2,000.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be in the States. I'll be in the States mid to late October and stay until after the vote.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'll be in LA for that.
Gotcha. Excellent.
Johnny's having fun.
Yes, he is.
It's Hal's fault. He gave this.
It
to
is.
me.
I gave it to him, so it's I blame myself.
It's a breaking news. Malcolm Nance will be applying. Oh, Malcolm said that several times. I hope it's true. I hope he does. I hope he does get on the National Security Council.
Chicago already left. Okay, well,
that would be great.
Chicago left.
They bailed out a long time ago. They have to because they got to move on to the next show. So they shut everything off. Otherwise, they're routing it the wrong direction and stuff.
There's a Cal Penn soundboard. What? Like, is it just Harold and Kumar quotes?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe some Daily Show stuff. I don't know.
I could do an absentee ballot, but I'd rather cast. It's just I want to be there. It's Michigan as well. I'm registered in Michigan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna take Michigan this year.
I'm
predicting Florida. I'm predicting that Florida's gonna go for Harris, and more than likely that will either she will draft behind the Democratic senator that's running, or vice versa. One of the other one will carry the other across the line. It just depends on what the dynamics leading up to the last couple of weeks there. But they're flipping out about it all over Florida.
They should be.
Yeah. So
it's gonna be great.
if we don't take it outright, it will be the closest they've had, and it will be one of those things where for weeks after they'll do a reckoning, of like, oh, the Republican Party must think very hard about and take the lessons from this election that it could be so close, right after they've rigged Florida for years to try and basically disenfranchise every Democratic voter in the state, and yet they still get swamped because November's a real thing, and it's gonna. You watch the 3 week. Those votes are largely banked anyways, but the 3 weeks leading up to the actual election are going to be humongous. As people, as people go down there to kind of give a middle finger, and there are a bunch of states, Florida being one of them, where people are going to vote in person because the weather's okay and it's going to be pretty easy.
And just before we sign off here completely, I also think it's worth mentioning that like, because I hear so many people are pissed off at the states right now because of all of our restrictions on what weapons we can use, what we can't use, and how and where and when. I think when we get Trump in the rearview mirror, because if Biden-Harris were to absolutely pull all the restrictions on the war in Ukraine and let the Ukrainians just go whole hog, that's just fodder for MAGA and
totally
Trump. And as devastating as it is that Ukrainians have to die because of American domestic politics, I would still rather have Harris-Waltz administration, which the second they are inaugurated and sworn in, they're going to be like. I think Waltz will. I mean, Waltz even made Minneapolis a sister city to Chernihiv, I think it is, here in Ukraine. So
Cincinnati is the sister city of Kyiv, and that's the city I was born in.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but I think until we get Trump, the threat of Trump and the MAGA movement, which is fellow travelers with the Putin type, they can't overcommit, and it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that will happen when he loses is that the incoming Harris administration and the outgoing Biden administration will be able to make the case that one of the reasons, whether it played largely enough, why Trump lost again was because of his attacks and why maggots are losing in a bunch of elections as well, which it increasingly looks like they will, is because of their total disassociation from how the average American feels about Ukraine and wants to support Ukraine and this weird fixation that they have. And so they'll be able to go, we're going to support them because that's what the American people voted for. They did support this, and the ones that voted against it lost again. So awesome. All right, well, take care of yourselves, and be safe.
Enjoy.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just take a couple of days to heal.
I was
It'll be
going to
fine.
do a whole joke about you being hit by a car, but only like very
A Matchbox
specifically,
car.
it was a Matchbox car in the butt.
And that we want to see the X-rays.
It had to be in the butt, did it?
Yeah, it's just your
Had to be in
pelvis
the-
and a Matchbox car.
I think that says a lot more about you than it does about me.
It
John.
absolutely does.
Oh my God!
It says-
I'm totally obsessed with Matchbox cars in your butt.
Did you ever see the SNL skit about the Darth Vader in your butt?
I don't think so.
No.
Is that
It's got to be on YouTube.
like one of the little action figures?
Like an action figure. And everybody,
Right.
the joke is a guy goes, well, I'm not going to tell you what the joke is.
All right,
Go
we'll
check
watch
out.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
find it.
I mean,
SNL Darth Vader in your butt.
Sure. And they only went that way because the Twiggy action figure from Buck Rogers is a little on the nose.
Bitty, 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 bitty.
Yeah,
Bitty, 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 bitty.
because look at Twiggy's
Oh, I
head.
had such a crush on Aaron.
Aaron Gray.
Aaron Gray.
Oh my God.
In those
In the
silver
in the
suit.
Lycra
Come on.
zip-up racing suit or whatever.
Oh,
remember
boy,
it,
oh
man.
boy, oh boy.
Brutal.
Yep.
I met her at a car show and got her autograph.
yeah.
It's a TMI. I'll tell you guys later how I reacted. But
I hear you.
it was a lot. Yeah, right. Right? It's like somebody stomped a mustard container.
Everybody used to love the one who was more like she had the like fur bikini on and stuff like that. No, I was always Aaron Gray.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. And it was interesting because I was. You ever see Cannonball Run 2? The two women in it, Susan Anton and and it was Daisy Duke from
Catherine Bach.
Yeah, Catherine Bach.
Yeah, from Swamp Thing.
No.
Catherine Bach
that's the
from
first
Dukes of
one.
Hazzard.
In the second one,
that's the first one.
Yeah. Yes. So, like both of them were wearing those kind of like zipper suits or whatever. And at that point, I was like, okay, now they're just trying to reel me in.
You became self-aware. Like,
oh yeah, I was like, this is a marketing scheme to go after the Aaron Gray vote.
Yeah, this is a weakness of mine.
Yep.
All right, this has been a TMI production of an overshare, and thank you, Phil. Be safe and
say hi to Malcolm for me.
Yes, absolutely.
This was all broadcast.
Absolutely, this was all on the air. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Yeah.
I am.
I'm pretty proud.
Yeah, as you would be. All right, cheers, Phil. We'll see you later.
See you,
there he goes, ladies and gentlemen.
Later.
And Johnny Million and I are going to sign off right now. Get out of my scene. Stay on your own side of the screen. I do the illusion of a barrier between us. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. I mean, I kind of can. Hold on.
Yeah. Oh. How are you taller than me?
I'm not taller than you. I have a bigger head. It's an ego thing.
Yeah.
I willed it into existence.
Mustard packet.
Goodbye, chat room. I've got to go like rest and sound check, and it's going to be a mad day. I still have to write a bunch of jokes for tonight because everything's changing, and it's live stream, so it's not like, all right, this will be a good show. It's got to be the show, man. It's got to be the show.
No pressure.
No pressure. All right. Love you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you for showing up. We'll see you later. I'm tired. Okay. That'll be